Hi, welcome back to Guff Stuff Weekly Podcast. I'm Javen.
And I'm Guff.
Today, we're going to start something that we wanted to start for a while.
Yes.
We've kind of done it a little bit, but we're going to start talking about specific games.
Yes.
We've covered many genres in our podcast.
Right. Yep.
And we're going to try to change our formatting a little bit. We're going to try to do a meta topic for one episode during the week, and we're going to try to do a specific game, be it a tabletop role-playing game, a board game, whatever it might be.
Old, new, doesn't really make any difference, whatever hits our fancy, I think.
It's just games that we feel should be talked about.
Right.
They probably have been talked about to death already, but some of them.
I mean, maybe. This was I think it's yeah. Okay, yeah.
Anyways, that's our intentions. And Guff, what game are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about Subnautica.
The original.
The original, yes. They also have Below Zero, but we're not going to talk about that one today. We're talking about Subnautica. And I think it kind of made its own genre. And I only come up with this idea, the whole gaming genre idea, because of my daughter. She considers it a horror game.
I think
underwater survival horror.
To some people, yeah.
Yeah, no, it is.
It is a spooky
because
game.
of the stuff we're going to talk about.
The tension that it builds up is very good. I would say that it's not game breaking in game design and like genre defining.
No, but it does something better than any other game that I've probably played in its specific style.
Yeah, I think it has a very strong open world survival craft. Like, many games.
That's okay, and I think that's
and base building.
Very good.
I think that's the foundation kind of what it is. But the way that it introduces horror elements kind of sets it apart.
Right. Well, for me, the horror elements, the horror elements. I didn't even. Wow. You don't. Okay. First off, when you're playing the game.
Well, let's do a game overview.
Yeah.
Let's start with that.
Yeah.
So, brief history of Subnautica.
Yep.
I believe it was an early access game when it came out.
Yeah, I don't know if I played in early access or not, to be honest with you. I can't remember.
And it released, was pretty well received. It has basically a 97% review on Steam.
Yeah, it's a very polished game.
It's made by Unknown Worlds Entertainment.
Yep. Which
I don't think they've made anything other than the Subnautica games.
Yeah.
I have no idea. We're about to look at it right now. Significant milestones it had. It had its 1.0 release, which was fairly successful. A lot of streamers played it. A lot of big names played it, content creators, and it garnered a lot of attention.
Right.
And then they did an update a few years after it came out to a 2.0 where they integrated systems that they've always wanted in the game and cleaned a lot of things up. And basically, like, just a free update. They just said, hey, we love this game so much. We know you guys love this game.
Right.
At no cost to you, we're giving it a facelift.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
That was pretty well done.
Yeah, no, it was. I never really, I can't think of any glaring issues in that particular version of the game. In Below Zero, there was some, but since we're talking about the original, I think I can't think of anything that just broke me. Like, I was like, oh, this is stupid. Why would you? It was just a polished game.
Yeah, it felt really clean.
To me, I tell you what, guys, gamers, developers, if you get a game that's polished, it can be I don't know. It doesn't have to be very good as long as it's polished.
If it runs well.
Like, if I can turn it on and play it and not worry about, it's just good.
Yeah. So what are some of the gameplay mechanics that you remember?
My favorite part, and this is what I was talking about a little bit in the intro, is a lot of people focus on that horror aspect and the base building. For me, it is just the fact that you can play a game that the swimming, the water, the whole underwater environment is so well done. All the zones, like every new zone you go into is just like, holy shnikey. Even the creepy, gross ones, you're like, holy crap, they put some thought into this.
Yeah, and so like we just talked about it a little bit. This game is you crash landed on the alien planet. in a big ship with a bunch of people.
Right.
You're the sole survivor in this capsule, and you're on a completely aquatic planet, and you have to survive and try to get off
Right.
the
Yeah.
planet.
Exactly.
And the mechanics, based around the swimming feels
like
amazing.
that was my favorite part of the game. Like I didn't
The
even
exploration is just awesome.
Yeah, the whole other experience, the horror part. You get so enveloped into that game, and if you didn't do any research on the game or listen to anybody talk about, which I hadn't,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't know there was a horror aspect to the game, which I'm sure anybody listening to this, the first time they played it, the first time they met the horror aspect of this game, probably almost crapped yourself. And I know at least 3 gamers that has played it, that the first time that horror aspect enters the game, they scream like a little girl.
Yeah.
Because it's just not something you expected. You're swimming around catching fishes and you're cooking them and
It's
eating
so
them.
pretty too.
It's
It's
pretty.
so welcoming.
And the music is wonderful. Like I rarely have music on in games, which is a big taboo for a lot of people because it does set the theme for a lot of games.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just annoying because I can't hear what's going on in the game.
Yeah.
But Subnautica, I keep it down, but I can hear it in the background all the time. It's just very relaxed. For me, it was a casual game that I could play casually.
It felt like a Stardew kind of game, right?
Totally casual.
One of the mechanics about this game that's really cool that I liked had to do with the setting and the story.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about, you mentioned it, the biomes.
Yeah.
When you travel far enough away or deep enough, light begins to stop coming down.
Yep.
It gets dark.
Just like it would be if you were actually in the ocean.
In the ocean. The biomes feel wildly different.
Oh, dude.
The creatures are different. The minerals you find
change. Yep. Everything changes.
And it does a really good job of. I find it in most games where water's involved and there's underwater.
Yeah.
It's usually like one skin applied to
it's like
whole.
one-dimensional.
It's one-dimensional.
This game's got.
This feels like Skyrim, where you have forests and mountains and snowy and
but all under.
But underwater, it feels distinctly different in an underwater environment, which I think is a major boon to why it is so popular.
Yeah, I like the aspect when you're playing. First, you start off with just a regular oxygen tank and you're swimming, and you really can't go too deep because you run out of oxygen. Then you get the little easy glide. I think is that what it's called? Easy glide? Sea glide. And then you get the next vehicle.
Sea moth.
Yeah, they're all pretty much similar. But you keep upgrading your vehicles to the prawn, to the big
Cyclops,
and pretty soon you can go really deep.
Oh yeah.
Now, granted, you do have the little tube thing, which doesn't really help you when you're under attack too much and you're freaking out for your life and running. The oxygen tubes you can bring down quite a ways. But you do have pressure-related issues that you have to deal with and contend with.
Yeah, so vehicles can only go so deep.
Yeah.
Player, because of the suit that you have and the rebreather you have, you can go deeper than the vehicle.
Yeah, it is.
So if you want to explore the really good stuff, you have to leave the comfort of your vehicle.
Yeah.
And that's where the horror comes in.
Yeah.
Because now all of a sudden you're meeting creatures in darkness
that aren't necessarily nice
that
to
aren't
you.
friendly.
Right.
Exactly.
It is a forgiving game, though. So, I mean, to be fair, you get down there deep, which is why I probably liked it so much, because it still is a casual horror game.
Yeah.
You get down deep, or you meet the big bad oogly boogly. He smokes you. Okay, you wake up in your castle.
Yeah.
Or you're wherever you're at, wherever you spawned at that point.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're sub.
In the default game mode.
The default game mode, yeah.
Setting and story.
Mm-hmm.
So the setting is you're basically on a corporate colony ship.
Yep.
That flies by this planet, and you crash. Well, we find out, and you're one of the first things it tells you in the game is that the core's reactor is critical
on the big ship.
On the big ship, and so it will go nuclear. And eventually, if you wait long enough, the whole big thing explodes, and a radiation field begins to surround it.
Yep.
And then to travel there, you need different suits and stuff.
Yeah, you got to get all the stuff. Yeah, it's absolutely
the story is delivered through different sea capsules. Yep. So much like what you had that floated to the surface, people got ejected out of these safety capsules when the ship crashed, and you get messages from the crew on your radio after you repair it, and it explains what's going on with these crew members, and then it gives you a waypoint, and you go and find this capsule.
Yeah, and sometimes there's something there, sometimes there's not. Sometimes
Sometimes
it's a little
ripped open.
blueprints. Yeah,
Sometimes a creature got in.
Yeah.
Sometimes like there's many different factors as to what happens in the game, and the story's kind of delivered narratively that way.
Yeah.
Where it's many different contributing factors.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love that. I love the fact. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the player experience, which I think most people have had a very I 97% love that game.
Yeah.
There is a 3% that I don't like though.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you share the same thing, but my 3% is, and they tried to fix this with the next game they released, was when you get out of the water and you run on land. It feels like
I thought it was an ocean planet.
Yeah, there is land.
Oh.
There are some land portions. And when you get out, it feels really early 2000s.
Yeah, very
clunky. Like, it's still very pretty.
Yeah.
And the little crabs and stuff are cool, but
the mechanics of the land.
Yeah, it just kind
of. To be fair, the game is only 3% land.
Yeah, no, I get that, but it's just like you do have some things you have to do on land. You have to get out. You have to run through dry land for a bit to get. Most of it's to get like messages from other party members
or the alien artifacts.
The alien artifacts, which is a whole other map.
That's part of the main story, yeah.
Right, and then schematics. You can build your underwater bases and stuff. Which some of the main ones you have to get out of the water to take care of. It just felt kind of clunky. Was it game breaking for me? No, because I've played games from well before 2000, so it didn't make any difference to me at the time. It just didn't feel as polished as the.
So let's go with some personal experiences, personal anecdotes. What are? I'll start with this one because I have one that's just glaring in my mind.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I think it happens to everybody.
Yep.
If you go so far in a certain direction,
yep.
You hear a roar off in the distance, and you're like,
"This is where you poop yourself."
And to be fair, you hear like loud noises of big creatures elsewhere.
Whales and
the reefbacks
makes you think of whales.
Yeah, it makes you think of whales, and then you see them and you're like, oh my god, they're huge, and then they're not hostile, and you don't really meet anything hostile in the game other than the sawtooth.
Right. Yeah, which is a little tiny.
You can kind of like swim away from them, basically.
Like the northern pike, the barracuda. It's just kind of one of those.
It is fairly big. It's bigger than the player, but
right. No, but I mean, it's just that kind of thing.
Then you come across the leviathans.
That mother.
The red and pale, kind of looks like an oarfish kind of coloring.
Yeah. He's pretty horrendous.
And you meet him, you hear off in the distance, and you kind of like start sweating a little bit. And then usually at this point you're in your sea moth, which is the like enclosed little capsule thing.
Yeah.
And that thing will grab your sea moth.
Oh yeah, tear the living bejesus.
Rip it apart, and it has this animation when it grabs you that you look right into the jaws of death.
Yeah.
And it's pretty terrifying.
It's so quick.
It's so quick. And it's so terrifying. That's what hooked me on the game. I'm like, they did such a good job of introducing the quote-unquote villain of the water.
Yeah, and tell me that you didn't spend the rest of the game listening for that.
Yeah, paranoid.
You literally do.
And then, to follow up on that, they do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
They hit you with the same thing, and you're not expecting it.
No, I know.
You go deep enough, and all of a sudden you hear, oh, but it's like a little different off in the distance.
What is that?
And then you see this translucent monstrosity that's even bigger than the first one.
Yeah.
The ghost leviathans.
Yeah.
And you're in like a boneyard with like chemicals spewing out, and it's just so spooky.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrifying. The horror aspect of the game. It is.
And it sets the tone for the rest of the game because all of a sudden, every corner, any noise you hear, just scares you. You're like, I don't know if I'm gonna die or what.
I will say that from people that I've played with or people that I've heard, that I had the better experience because I don't play with headphones.
Oh yeah.
I had desktop speakers, which are very nice and they make very good noise, and it still scared the living bejesus out of me. But I did hear from one player specifically when they were all in, headphones on, cranked the volume up, lights off, sitting in the dark, just playing away, get into it because it gets you into it.
Yeah,
You're
it's a
oh my
very,
God, I
very
want to see the next zone. I want to see the next monster.
It's just the
And all of a
gameplay loop
sudden-
is very
and the headphone experience they said was so horrifying.
yeah.
That they're like, should I put my headphones back on? Like, literally, do I put them back on? Like, that was bad. Like, I don't even want to play this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but god dang, it's one of those games that
Um,
makes you want to play some more.
As far as reception within the community of the gaming community,
Yeah.
I know of some. There's very notable names like Markiplier, Day 9.
Yeah.
Some very big content creators that played it.
Everybody that I watched on YouTube is
Loved it.
And loved it.
And loved it.
Yeah.
Nobody basically didn't like it.
Yeah, no.
And
all of them.
Every gamer I have met personally in my group has pretty much played it and unanimously loved it.
Yeah, no, I agree. 100%.
Like even it was surprising for me. I don't like survival crafting that much, but the game sucked me in. I loved it.
Yeah, I'd say out of my active players on Steam, I probably have 15 or 20. Over half of them have played Subnautica.
Yeah.
Faithfully.
Odds are someone you know has played it.
Yeah, no. Most of them are in the 100+ hours. So I'm actually in the lower hours for the poor game.
Yeah, me too.
But I played a lot of that game. It felt like I've been playing it for years.
And it's one of those games, it's like you lose track of time too.
It's so
you start playing at 6 o'clock and all of a sudden it's midnight. You're like, when did the sun go down?
When did that happen?
Yeah.
You get so intent on gathering up resources and gathering up parts so you can build more of your stuff. And
yeah, it does a very good job of balancing a lot of different aspects.
Very good game.
My 3% of the game is that combat isn't super satisfying.
No,
at first.
True. Yeah.
So until you learn the tricks and secrets of how to do combat,
yeah, right.
It just feels like you lose every fight.
Yeah, no, yeah. If you're relying on that little blade that you get right away, and that is your mechanism to fight, you might as well just not do it.
Yeah.
Because there are definitely, you get to the gravity orb, that makes a huge difference in a lot of fights. There's a lot of other ways to
stasis rifle.
Stasis rifle. You know, even if you're in the prawn, that makes a big difference in its own right.
The prawn can take on Leviathan.
Like that's a huge difference in its own right. All of a sudden now the game's balanced out a little bit.
So let's move into tips and strategies then.
Yeah.
So my main strategy in that game, in fighting specifically, was stasis rifle and run.
Yep.
That was
that's a good tactic.
And decoy torpedoes.
Yep.
And drive away.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of that's what they give you easily accessible.
Yeah. Bless you.
So I think that's the intended way to play it.
Yeah, no, right. I don't think they want you to battle every monster and kill every monster.
However, when you get good enough at the game with the prawn suit, and you have the drills and the weapons.
Yeah, I felt considerably safer once I got the prawn suit. I waited till the end almost to get it.
Me too. I waited way later.
I could have gotten it a lot sooner. And
I rushed for the Cyclops.
Yeah,
I'm like the submarines. Oh yeah, totally the way to go.
The big 40-foot submarine. I got this.
No, the freaking Leviathans will rip that thing.
Yeah,
apart.
no, they'll tear it up.
But the prawn suit, that little thing will mess up.
Yeah.
Just about anything.
Mm-hmm.
You just punch Leviathans to death with that thing, and it's amazing.
It's literally made for that problem.
Yeah, and I never even knew that you could kill Leviathans.
Mm-hmm.
I had one that glitched into an area.
Yep.
And so it was like stuck there. So I just spent a bunch of time just like drilling at it with the prawn suit, and finally it died. I'm like, oh, it can die.
Right. Yeah.
Completely changed the game for me.
Yeah. Well, and you don't really think about it. Like for me, the first time I battled one, I didn't think that I could actually kill it because it tore my 40-foot Cyclops up like nothing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm back in my little initial starter pod, going, "Where's all my stuff?"
Yeah.
Well, you can't go back and get it because that's where Leviathan lives.
Yeah.
So you're like, "Well, I'm building another one.
Yeah.
Yay for me!" And then you do it again. You're like, "I can't fight this." And then at some point, you do manage to fight it, and it's like, it's that moment, like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not completely helpless."
It's like the scene in Rocky IV when Rocky finally punches Ivan Drago, or whatever his name is. I don't remember.
Yeah. I think was it 4 or 3?
It was 4.
Was it 4? Okay, yeah.
And Rocky's coach goes, "See, Rocky, he does bleed." You know, it gives you that hope.
Yeah, it gives you the hope that you can play the game. But I think the game I think you can play the game without having to worry about killing any of those things.
You can stealth your way around everything if you need to. But yeah, the general concept for beginning players, the tips I would offer: repair everything in your immediate vicinity.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and then
listen to the game for a little bit.
yeah, the game does a very good
It
job
does
of
it's
guiding you along.
kind of a hidden tutorial.
And then
It's
grab
kind
as many resources as you can
learn
and
about those resources too.
explore
Yeah.
and scan everything
Yes, everything.
and
Because
read.
you read. Yeah, I spent so much time, and this is kind of my own ignorance. I spent all this time playing, and I survived off of bottled water and the little bars you have, the all ones I scavenged
Yeah, the
for
nutrient
so
bars.
long
Yeah,
before I realized that you could like get water from the little
fish.
fish.
Yeah,
Like, really? But it's because I didn't scan and follow the directions.
yeah.
Once I did that, I'm like, oh wow, the whole world just changed. I
I-
actually restarted the game after that because I was like, holy crap, I missed a whole bunch of the game and I didn't even know what I was doing. That was my own being that fault, but
yeah. I mean, it's yeah. So like the tutorial does a good job.
introducing you to the basics of the game. And reading all the lore in that, you need to do that. Otherwise, you're not going to know anything about most
The
everything.
game is definitely a self-contained experience.
Yeah.
I also highly recommend, if you've never played it, you could play it right now after listening to this,
Yeah.
and you probably won't remember a lot of it. And we're going to try not to spoil too many
Right.
things.
No, there's so much. Yeah. No.
But there's so much to experience that you're going to experience it organically, anyways.
Yeah.
But try to do a blind playthrough. Try to do a playthrough where you don't look up tips and strategies.
No. I would not recommend that at all.
Because I feel like it detracts from the game. It's
Right.
one of those games that if you don't know what you're doing, it's way more fun, way more satisfying.
Yeah. I think us giving up the Leviathan would probably be the only real spoiler, but let me tell you that the Leviathan is not the only thing in the world, and it's not the only scary thing, because being 900 meters down with a sub and you're 500 up is your sub, and
Yeah,
there's other things that can kind of put you in a little bit of panic mode.
yeah.
I think just being that vulnerable that far underwater is
That's the thing. Let's talk about that. That's because you hit the nail right on the head. It's the vulnerability of the player
Yeah.
character. That's what makes it so terrifying. Is that you're in an environment you're not biologically adapted to.
No, you're not.
We've sent more people into space
Right.
than we have to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
And they do a great job of not explaining, but showing
Yeah.
that deep water is scarier than just about anything you can imagine.
Exactly. Yeah. No, yeah. All in all, it's yeah.
As far as recent developments,
Mhm.
let's go into the next segment a little bit here. Recent developments, like I said, they did a major update a couple years back.
Yep.
This is about 4 years after the game.
There is a
came out.
beginning and end. You don't have to end it. You can just keep playing. I
Yeah.
never ended the game. I knew how to because literally the game tells you at some point how to.
Yeah.
But I never went through with it because I'm like, what?
And you do have to progress the storyline to do it as well.
Yeah. No. No.
You
Yeah.
can't
For
just
sure.
do
Yeah.
it.
Right.
have
No,
to
you can't
follow.
just go right to the end and win. Like there's
Yeah.
no win button.
Yeah.
Because you have to unlock and whatever.
Yeah, you have to kind of complete story objectives.
Yep.
But yeah, so they've done major updates to it. I think they still do bug fixes for it. If it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
But like if there's
Yeah.
major bugs or which there aren't any major bugs that I know of at this
No.
point.
Nah.
Um,
The only bug I could think of is that to finish the game when it first was released, there was a bug that if you did something out of order,
it might have messed it up.
yeah, you couldn't like launch the rocket.
Okay.
And that was like okay, but it was an easy fix. You just go back and do it the other way. Not a big deal. What's some updates? I think.
Oh, one of the updates I want to talk about. This is a community mod that people are doing for it. There's been people that have been working on, and as far as I know, it's successful now. You do have to kind of, I don't know if it's available through Steam Workshop. I think you have to go through like modding old school to do it. But there's a multiplayer mod, which I think is a phenomenal idea. Because this is a game that, to me, really lends itself well to like it's the single player experience is perfect, but doing a second playthrough
Right.
with like 2 people max, like just a co-op, like a 2-player,
Right.
I think would be perfect.
Yeah, co-op would be okay. I don't know if you want to have.
You don't want to have a
too many
group of
buddies in
people.
there,
I
but
feel like it'd make it too easy.
it's funny. We were talking about before we got to this point, we were talking about don't read guides. And I was looking at Steam's most helpful reviews in the past 90 days. The number one recommended review was do not under any let me refresh my brain. Under any circumstance, read any guides for this game. Any hint, no matter how minor, will ruin your enjoyment of this game. You've been warned. And you know what? That's kind of, I mean, other than the little bits, like, don't go into it. Don't, like you said, don't look for tips and tricks.
Well, and the
do
thing
the
is,
little bits that we have, but that's
everything that we've given you right now, the game will tell you.
yeah.
Even the Leviathan, you'll get a notification when you hear the roar that they've detected Leviathan class life forms.
Yeah, they
and then you're like, what the hell is a Leviathan class life form?
You find out.
But
yeah, there's so much more. Like,
try to blind playthrough if you can. We maybe have spoiled more than we should have, but
if you haven't, the game's been out for a while.
5 years. It's been full release for 5 years.
Yeah, January 23rd, 2018.
It's almost 6 years.
So yeah, it's been out for a while.
Community interaction. I know Markiplier's got like a model in the game because he played it a lot in early access and was like a big part of the development.
Okay.
So there's like Easter eggs for Markiplier in there.
Oh, nice.
Markiplier's a big YouTuber who plays a bunch of games. Yeah, pretty popular.
Pretty popular for sure.
There's some references, I believe, to like different sci-fi authors too, and different sci-fi universes. One thing I do want to kind of touch on a little bit is that they do a very good job of the cliche corporate we don't care.
Oh yeah.
Like I like to call it the Gladys syndrome.
Right.
From Portal.
Yeah.
Where it's this female voice droning at you that, oh, you know, you might not survive this, but try your best, I guess. Right. You know, it's like a sardonic. Yeah,
it's like, well,
dry.
Do your best. Maybe we'll come along and save you someday, or if not, you'll have to figure it out on your own.
Exactly, and the humor is very subtle. It's been probably overused at this point in a lot of games,
right?
But it doesn't feel like it's overdone in this game.
Right.
They did a very good job of making the computer assistant feel merciless, I guess.
No, it does. The other community, or not community, but developments, they did release an expansion, not a true expansion of the game, because it definitely is not the same person. You're a different character.
Oh, the sequel.
The sequel. They call it a sequel. Yeah. And they did do that.
And it's set years after the first.
Yeah, it's. I think it's more of a, at least from my understanding of the bits I did play, because I played it really early when we got it, and there was a lot of bugs still in the game. Now I've completely redone it.
And just to clarify, we're moving into talking about Subnautica.
Just it's only because it's an update from the game.
Below zero.
Below zero, yeah. Subnautica below zero. They added stuff to that, which some of that actually went backwards when they did the revamp.
That was the upgrade to 2.0 for the first game.
When they re-upgrade, when they went back to the first game, they upgraded with some of the mechanics they had in the below zero. And so developers actually care. And at the beginning, we talked about some of the games the developers had, and I looked it up. And Unknown Worlds actually does have other games out there. If you've heard of the natural selection games,
yes, actually.
They do those.
Oh, okay.
That's their game. The Zen is Sudoku, or Sudoku, whatever. I don't know what that is, but I guess it's a pleasant way to learn how to play Sudoku. But there's also a new game that's on Steam called Moonbreaker. So that is the Universe Defined by Brandon Sanderson. Which is a pretty popular. It's a turn-based strategy tactical skirmish game, which I'm sure.
So like XCOM kind of.
Yeah. So I think that might be pretty fun, but I was just getting to go for that because it's part of the development news and stuff like that.
Yeah, part of our...
This whole company is pretty solid. They don't have a lot of games in development, and so for me that's kind of good because they can just focus.
That's on a good sign, yeah.
And they're if they're dedicated to all their games, they fixed anything they had wrong with any of their games so far that I've played, both Subnautica games. They're both polished, smooth running games, and they both do things that you just did not expect.
Yep, they do a very good job.
It's very fun.
I think the developer is worth checking out.
Yep.
If you've never played Subnautica, pick it up, play it.
Yeah, Steam. You literally have Christmas sale is going to start
soon.
If it hasn't, maybe next week. beginning of the week. I don't remember when exactly it starts, but then that will go until like the middle of the first week of January or something
Yep.
like that, maybe even second week.
Or
It's
maybe
gonna be on
it's
sale.
I think it's the New Year's sale.
Okay, it might be the New Year's sale, but it will be on sale. I almost promise you. Buy it then, and if you don't like it in the first 2 hours, then send it back.
Yeah. It's 100% a
You
game
will
worth
like
playing.
it though.
It's a game worth trying. It's a game worth playing. I had tons of fun with it. I wouldn't even be opposed to replaying it.
Yeah, no, I've played it on the Xbox. I believe it's on the Xbox, or it's on.
I think it's on the
I
consoles.
think it was on my. No, I'm pretty sure it was on the Xbox. I played it there. I played it on Steam. Been enjoyable no matter how I played it.
One thing I do want to talk about before we wrap this up is I played it in VR when I had a VR headset.
I have not played in VR. I bet you that would be a trip.
And if you could find a way to blind play through this game in VR, I think it would be an experience unlike anything you can
I bet
imagine.
it would be. I bet you that'd be great.
So definitely try that out if you have that hardware. If not, it's still a great game. Like it's just I think playing it in VR would be a very unique experience.
Yeah, no, gosh darn, now I want to go get VR gear.
Yeah.
Well, my wife's been talking about it, so maybe I should just break down and go buy one.
But yeah, as far as like closing thoughts, it's a great game. The reviews speak for themselves. We've both had
97% is pretty good. That's not Amazon reviews.
It's pretty impressive to remember a game 3 years after you played it.
Yeah, no.
And want to talk about it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's one of the first games we decided to review because we both had a very enjoyable experience. It's fun to talk about.
Yeah.
What more do you need to say? I mean, that's just how it goes.
But anyways, thanks for listening.
Yep.
This has been Guff Stuff Weekly. I'm Javen.
And I'm Guff.
And we hope to catch you guys in the next episode.
Yep.
All right.
Later.